happen to start crying every single time I watch episode 5 of Heated Rivalry, that's between me and whatever god is out there, okay? Hi, I'm Claudia, and Heated Rivalry has absolutely become my latest obsession. And if I said that to the me from like November, she would have no clue what I was talking about. You see, a side effect of me reading so much fanfiction is that reading like physical books has kind of like fallen to the wayside a bit. Like when I was about 13 or 14, I used to like beg my mum to take me to WH Smith's, which doesn't exist anymore, which makes me feel so old. But it was like a bookshop in the UK, and like I used to beg my mum to let me buy 2 or 3 books. Whereas now I'm more inclined to just read a bunch of fanfics than ask for actual books. But all that means I had never heard of Heated Rivalry until I started seeing it on social media. And it felt like as soon as I started seeing it, it was literally everywhere. I considered finding a way to watch it in the UK, if you know what I mean. But then they announced it was coming to the UK on the 10th of January, and I was like, you know what, I'll wait. I knew from seeing like all the stuff on social media that I'd probably enjoy the show, and because I knew I'd probably like it, I didn't want it to just like overtake my entire Christmas. And I thought, you know, I'll watch it on the 10th when it comes out, and then I go back to university on the 20th, that's when my first lectures are, so there's not that too much time in between for me to get like fully obsessed with it, so I'll be fine by the time I go back to uni. Little did I know, but I held off, and now I'm sitting here. It is the 23rd of January. It's been 13 days since Heated Rivalry came out in the UK, and I have watched the entire show 3 times. I have edits saved on my phone. I've read so many fanfics. I just love the show so much. And I haven't even read the book yet. I'm actually not going to read it. I'm going to ask for it for my birthday, which is next month, so I'm not waiting too long, but I haven't read it yet. But I love Heated Rivalry so much, and I have literally no one to talk about it with. My friends at uni haven't watched it. My sister refuses to watch it, so I am stuck in this like kind of limbo of just talking about it with myself. So I thought, you know what, I'll make a YouTube video, because that's what I do when I want to talk about stuff that I have no other way to talk about. And so here we are. Originally, the plan for this video was going to be me talking about the One Chicago universe and how it's like the blueprint for TV franchises, but then Heated Rivalry took over my brain like a virus. So here we are. Also, if the lighting looks weird, I'm sorry. I had to open this blind. I usually leave this closed when I record, but it was too dark in here for you to see anything. So this is open and it looks kind of weird, but we're just going to ignore it, okay? Also, I'm currently running off about 4.5 hours of sleep, so God knows what I'm about to say. But first things first, I know absolutely nothing about ice hockey. If you can't tell by my accent, I'm British. We don't really have ice hockey here. Like, I know we have teams and stuff, but no one talks about ice hockey. We don't even send a team to the Olympics, okay? I've played, like, not ice hockey, the other kind of hockey, which we just call hockey in the UK, but I know in America at least they call it, like, field hockey or whatever. I played that at school growing up, but, like, no one ever talked about ice hockey. It was, like, not a thing that anyone played. It was not a thing anyone talked about. It was just not spoken. And then so in the last 13 days, I've learnt a lot about ice hockey. Some from the show itself, but most from fanfiction, because fanfic authors love to research. We love to get things accurate, you know? Also, I keep seeing like TikToks of people who are like actual fans of ice hockey being like, if you're a new fan, this is how this works. And I'm like, thank you, because I have no idea what's going on. Luckily for me, in the show, there aren't hockey scenes, but there's not like hockey rules that you need to know kind of thing. Like I went in knowing absolutely nothing about ice hockey and still understood most of it. There were some things I didn't, like it took me a minute to think, why are the American teams and the Canadian teams playing in the same league? Because that didn't seem right in my brain. But then I thought about it and I thought, you know, why not? And I still can't get my head around how the playoffs work. But I am trying, and that's better than nothing. But I won't yap about real life ice hockey for too long, because what we want is the fictional gay stuff, right? Before I'd even started the show, I'd seen a lot of stuff on social media, especially about the cottage, which I have to admit I did not understand until I watched the actual show. But I think part of me kind of thought, well, maybe it's just overhyped, you know, maybe people are just getting excited about this new show. Also, I think I'm so used to procedurals at this point that I was like, 6 episodes? That's not that many, you know? But because I'd seen so much, I kind of knew what was going to happen in the show, vaguely. I knew it was going to be quite explicit, but everyone was also like, oh, it's this beautiful love story at the same time, and I was like, you know what, this sounds like my kind of thing, I'll have a go. So I waited until the 10th of January, and then when it rolled around, I watched all 6 episodes in one afternoon. And I think as soon as I finished, I think probably the 2nd episode, I was like, oh yeah, I understand the hype. I get why people are obsessed with this. I'm gonna get obsessed with this. Because I'd been kind of excited for it before. I had talked about it to some of my family that I was gonna watch it. Specifically, I remember talking to my dad about it because I think he'd seen it in like a news article or something. But I didn't think the obsession was gonna go as deep as it has, okay? And I remember I finished episode 6 and I kind of just like sat and stared at my iPad that I was watching it on for like a few minutes. It was just so good, and it's been a long time since I've watched a show where every episode is just so good, you know? And within the next 2 hours, I was firmly in Heated Rivalry TikTok, to the point where now I have about 200 Heated Rivalry edits saved to my phone. Like, just to put this in perspective, I started saving edits in my phone in like June of last year. So it's like about 7 months, and in that entire time, I've saved about 530 911 edits. In the last 2 weeks, almost, I have saved 200 Heated Rivalry edits. I'm in deep, okay? I genuinely told my sister yesterday that I'm considering getting into ice hockey in real life, like for real, and like picking a favourite team and everything. I'm a 20-year-old British girl. What business do I have getting into ice hockey? And what she said to that was just, oh, for your birthday, I'm just going to tell our mum to get you Heated Rivalry stuff. And I was like, honestly, yeah. I'd be down for anything. My sister, she has also like had the brunt of my Heated Rivalry obsession. She is the only person in this house that will kind of remotely understand what I'm talking about, so she gets all of my yapping. So much so that she now kind of knows about Heated Rivalry. Yesterday I was telling her something, she was like, oh yeah, it like starts in the 2000s, right? And I was like, yes, you know! I've been trying to get her to watch it since I watched it. She won't because she doesn't watch TV, but I will still try, okay? She's also put up with me connecting my phone to the big TV in the living room downstairs and then playing all my Heated Rivalry edits on the TV. If you haven't done that, absolutely try it. It's such a fun experience to just have the edits on the big screen. It's so good. I haven't, however, watched the actual show on the big TV, mainly because our TV is directly opposite a window that looks out onto the street. So if the curtains are open, everyone and their mother can see what we're watching on the TV. And we don't live too far from a primary school, and there are like a lot of kids walking past our house to like get home, and I don't want to scar a child, okay? So I've restricted myself to watch the actual show just on my iPad. But edits are fine. If they're safe for TikTok, they're safe for the TV, okay? But also when I was watching the show, I'd seen people online saying like, oh, I cried at this episode, or I cried at this episode, and I was like, that's not gonna happen to me. I don't cry at TV shows, like basically ever. I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan, you know? I know better than to cry at characters' deaths. There's just too many. However, if I happen to start crying every single time I watch episode 5 of Heated Rivalry, that's between me and whatever God is out there, okay? Oh God, I'm thinking about the episode now. Oh God, I'm gonna start crying. No! It's just so good, okay? And I know it's dumb to be crying over a TV show, but you know, here we are. I can't cry in a silly little YouTube video, okay? I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Not today. The show is just so perfectly good. And it's done in such a way that is just so beautiful. Like, yes, there's like the raunchy, explicit stuff, but there's also within there an absolutely stunning love story. And it gets me every single time. In fact, there's 2 stunning love stories, you know, 2 of them for the price of 1 show. Maybe it's because I've been watching so many shows where like the ships don't get together or whatever, but seeing 2 characters so happy, it just gets me, you know? And the characters are just so well done, and I think that's probably because they're originally book characters that then been translated into TV show characters. To me, at least, like, book characters have always had a bit more depth than TV characters, and I think that's because they have, like, more space to go into more detail about things. Like, in a TV show, you don't hear a character's inner thoughts, but in a book, you absolutely read them. And I feel like that gives them more depth, at least to me. And that's probably why I love fanfic so much, because it gives TV characters more depth. But we're not going to go into that, okay? But these characters are so perfectly done. Like, Shane and Ilya, I love them both so much. I would die for them. I'm not even saying that as a joke. I would die for them. Also, I have no idea if I'm saying Ilya's name right. I'm just going with what I've heard most online, okay? But they're both just such well-written characters with depth, and they have flaws, and they're not perfect, and I love that about them. And both the actors are so amazing in the show. Like, you can tell they've done a good job because everyone loves the characters in the show so much, you know? And then yesterday, as I'm filming this, that it was announced that they're going to be Olympic torchbearers. I screamed, okay? And at the same time, Harry Styles had just announced a tour, and I was like having a major moment, okay? But what I also love about the show is this kind of like everyone wants to know what everyone else's reaction to the show is, if you know what I mean? Like, seeing other people watch the show for the first time is just so special. And like, side note, I'm also a Dan and Phil fan, so watching them watch the show has been a lot for me. Like, I have never been more thankful that I got a subscription to their Patreon for Christmas. Like, it was worth it, I'm telling you right now. But like, watching other people just absorb the show, especially people who wouldn't usually watch the show, like people who are showing like their parents it. Like, my parents would never watch it, it's way too explicit for them. They like tasteful, you know? But other people's parents, it's so good, you know? And the music to come out of it as well, oh my god. Like, obviously there's the original soundtrack, which is on my playlist, of course it is. But also, like, the pre-existing songs that they use are so good. They pick them out so perfectly, and they're also now all on my playlist, and I may or may not have started blasting I'll Believe in Anything as often as I can when I'm driving, okay? What was really funny was a couple of days ago I was driving home and it was like school time, so there were a bunch of secondary school kids around, and I was blasting I'll Believe in Anything, and there was a couple of people who heard it and they looked over and I thought, I know what you are. And like, all of this to say that like, obviously the show is good, like everyone's seen the reviews. Episode 5 is one of the highest rated episodes on IMDb ever, you know, but I went into the show thinking that I would enjoy it, and it has changed my life genuinely. Not just because I'm now obsessed with it and it now takes up a significant portion of my brain, but also just because it's such a beautiful love story and I love it so much. And I think so many people have seen that, and not just because of the ratings and not just because of the news articles, have thought, you know, this is actually a stunning love story. I think that's the main thing everyone should take away from it, you know? But I'm not going to go too deep into that because I might start crying, and as I've previously said, I'm not going to cry in a silly little YouTube video. So for some of the funnier bits about the show, people on Twitter and TikTok are hilarious. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. I can't remember if it was like a tweet or a TikTok that I saw, but someone said like Shane and Ilya's situationship lasted longer than One Direction's entire career. I giggled. As someone who is a massive One Direction fan, I was like, you know what? You're not wrong, you know? And the amount of edits I've seen to One Direction, keep them coming, you know? That's like half my edits folder. The other half is mostly like the sad, kind of depressing, angsty ones. But we're not going to talk about those because, again, I might cry. Also, people being like, this scene took place the same year as this, like for whatever year it was. Hilarious every single time. Like, I saw someone saying that while Shane and Ilya were at the cottage, in the UK we were having a general election. Which, I mean, we were. They're at the cottage, we're electing Theresa May, you know, what's the difference, really? Also, like, a couple of the background actors I know because I'm a massive fan of The Next Step. I mean, not so much anymore, obviously it's finished, I still actually haven't gotten around to watching season 10, but like, when I was a little bit younger, massive fan of The Next Step. I watched it for the first time when I was like 15 in lockdown, fell in love with it. Anyway, if you don't know, The Next Step is like a mockumentary dance show, and it's filmed in Canada, and a lot of the actors in it are Canadian. I remember looking at someone, I can't remember who at this point, I was looking at them and I was like, I recognise you from somewhere. And I was like, oh my god, you were in The Next Step. And also seeing people on TikTok do that thing where they put a phone on their head and it has like a quote on it, and the other person has to like describe the scene, and then the person with the phone on their head has to guess the quote. I don't have anyone to do that with, but if I did, I would get them all right, I just know. Will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia? Come to my house? Like, sometimes I feel like all 6 episodes are just in here, perfectly preserved, you know? And originally Heated Rivalry just infected like my TikTok, and I was firmly on Heated Rivalry TikTok, but now it's also infected my Instagram reels. But it's infected my reels so much that it's now transferring to my sister's reels, who has never seen the show. I'm not going to apologise, because maybe it will convince her to watch the show with me. I just know when season 2 comes around, it's going to be so bad for me. But like, so bad it's good, you know? And hopefully for my birthday, I'm going to get a bunch of Heated Rivalry stuff, which is probably not what most 21-year-olds want for their birthday, but it is what this almost 21-year-old wants for her birthday. But now I have to do the awkward and kind of cringy YouTuber thing and asked if you enjoyed the video, maybe to leave a like on it and also possibly subscribe. I make a bunch of videos all about my favourite TV shows and also about fanfiction and like fanfiction stuff, so if you like that kind of thing, you'll probably like some of my other videos. And if you want me to make a video about a different TV show or another video about Heated Rivalry, just like put it in the comments down below and I will 100% do it. So long as I've actually watched the show, obviously. If I haven't watched the show, I will watch it and then do the video, but it might take a while. There'll also be links down below to my Twitter and TikTok accounts. I post new fanfiction related TikToks literally every single day, so if you think that's something you would enjoy, you'll probably like the stuff I do over there. And on Twitter, I just yap about my favourite TV shows. So if you're into that, go follow me over there. So yeah, I've been Claudia, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Bye!